And still ahead on the national news desk, restoring excellence. How the nation's top education official says Trump's policies are putting America's students first. Education Secretary Linda McMahon says the reorganization and reduction of the current federal workforce at the agency is a significant step toward restoring the greatness of the United States education system. Officials say this will also allow funding to continue for special needs students, Pell Grants, student loans, and competitive grant making. Joining us this morning to discuss is Parents Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Good morning to you, Erika. The agency now cut in half from about 41 employees to 2,100. I want to tell you what else Linda McMahon said. She said today's reduction in force reflects the Department of Education's commitment to efficiency, accountability, and ensuring that resources are directed where they matter most, to students, parents, and teachers. What does this mean overall, though, Erika, for students, parents, and schools?
I mean, my suspicion is not a lot, certainly, because none of these cuts affect people who work directly with students or parents or really even schools. These are all staff within an over 4,000 person bureaucracy who interface with one another internally and inside the department. So again, as you say, the department has really grown exponentially, again, over 4,000 people.
Right.
While student outcomes and parent satisfaction have plummeted to the lowest levels we've ever seen. So eliminating redundancies and trying to reorient this department obviously does make a lot of sense.
Speaking of which, the Department of Education only provides about 8% of funding for K through 12 schools. The rest comes from local and state governments, as we know from all of our taxes, as well as other federal agencies. You got Health and Human Services. They do the Head Start program. You got the Department of Agriculture doing the school lunch program. So you have an agency that in fiscal year 2024 spent $268 billion, rating 6th among federal agencies in spending, and yet only provides about 8% in funding for America's public schools. Trump says he wants to get rid of the bureaucratic bloat. He said states should be controlling their own education. But how much influence and control does the feds have right now?
I mean, it's pretty limited. Also, I would just add, these are cuts to people making a lot of money. So these are, you know, $150,000, $180,000, $195,000, and over $200,000 jobs of people who, again, aren't even working with parents and students. The federal government's role is limited. We will hear a lot in the coming days as if it's not, as people try to scare the public. But, you know, they have nothing to do with curriculum, for example. They have little to do with funding. And the funding that they do provide is protected because it's federally mandated. So, again, the special education funding under IDEA, that's protected. It's not going anywhere. And the Title I funding for schools that have a disproportionate number of low-income students, again, not going anywhere, despite what people say on the news trying to scare everybody. One role that they do have, and they've really overplayed their hand, and you and I have discussed many times, is they like to interpret laws and then they like to tell schools what they need to do. And we saw that with Title IX. So the reason that there's been so much confusion and chaos around Title IX and this gender identity you know, expansion in that law is because the government came down and said to the schools, we are changing how we interpret Title IX, which means you need to change the way that you enforce it. Trump has since rolled that back. So, and we also see the federal government's very involved in civil rights,
CRT,
which again,
DEI,
you've seen that when you get an administration in that changes the way they interpret civil rights and discrimination, you have groups like mine filing complaints because they're now discriminating against certain groups and not others. So this is not the kind of thing that families and parents are going to feel personally, but it is a big change, you know, in that K-12 landscape for people who spend a lot of time thinking about education.
They might not feel it, but as you said, there's going to be plenty of disinformation, plenty of myths that are going to come about as a result of this. We've already heard a lot of that in the past couple of days. What's your response to Randy Weingarten, the president of the second largest teachers union, who says this will deny opportunities to students?
My response is that she has some nerve after working tirelessly to keep schools closed for up to 18 months in the cities where she has a lot of power. The fact that she would, again, lock the doors to schools for 18 months and not have a word to say about lost opportunities, and now suddenly when they're going after bloat in a federal agency, go on TV and rant about lost opportunities. It is laughable. She has absolutely no standing on this, and I do hope people call her out every single time she says that.
What we do know also is that America's schools are failing. The Education Department's spending did more so than the overall federal spending. One more statistic, since 1980, federal spending has risen 193.7%, while the Department of Education spending has increased 371.6%, nearly double.
And when you look at that on a graph, the spending goes up dramatically and the student outcomes, the proficiency levels, go down. So again, all of this spending on bureaucratic bloat has not only not helped students, we've seen declines. So it's clearly time to try something new, and I think that this is a good first step.
Parents defending education.
Will it be perfect? Will it be perfect? I suspect not. May there be things that they have to tweak after they see how it plays out? Maybe, but this is a move in the right direction, I think, for sure.
Parents Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Great to see you. Have a great weekend.
You too, Jan. Thanks.
Thank you.